Long before European ships reached the shores of the Americas, vibrant civilizations flourished across the continents. These societies were diverse and sophisticated, with their own unique cultures, beliefs, and ways of life. In North America, Native American tribes like the Iroquois, Cherokee, and Sioux thrived. They developed complex social structures and political systems. They had deep connections to the land and lived in harmony with nature. In South and Central America, empires rose and fell. The Maya, known for their advanced mathematics and astronomy, built magnificent cities and temples. The Aztecs, with their powerful military and intricate social hierarchy, dominated central Mexico. Further south, the Inca created a vast empire in the Andes Mountains, renowned for their impressive architecture and road systems. These civilizations were not isolated. They engaged in extensive trade networks, sharing knowledge and goods across vast distances. These indigenous peoples were skilled farmers, engineers, artists, and storytellers. Their legacy lives on in the traditions, languages, and cultural practices of their descendants. Their story is an essential part of understanding the rich tapestry of American history. These early chapters of human history in the Americas challenge us to see beyond traditional narratives. They remind us that the story of America begins long before European arrival, with the ingenuity and resilience of its first inhabitants. The late 15th century marked a turning point in world history. European explorers, driven by a thirst for new trade routes and riches, set sail across the Atlantic. Christopher Columbus's voyages, beginning in 1492, opened the door to a new era of exploration and conquest. While often portrayed as a heroic endeavor, the arrival of Europeans in the Americas had a profound and often devastating impact on the indigenous populations. The Spanish, eager to claim the wealth of the New World, established colonies in Central and South America. They toppled empires, extracted vast amounts of gold and silver, and imposed their culture and religion on the native inhabitants. The English, French, and Dutch soon followed, establishing settlements along the North American coast. Competition for land and resources intensified, leading to conflicts with Native Americans and rival European powers. The Columbian Exchange, the transfer of plants, animals, and diseases between the Old and New Worlds had far-reaching consequences. New crops like potatoes and tomatoes enriched European diets. At the same time, diseases like smallpox ravaged indigenous populations, decimating their numbers and weakening their resistance. The transatlantic slave trade, a dark chapter in human history, began to meet the growing demand for labor in the Americas. Millions of Africans were forcibly transported across the Atlantic, enslaved, and subjected to brutal conditions on plantations. This era of exploration and colonization forever changed the course of history in the Americas. It led to the displacement and suffering of millions, but it also laid the foundation for the diverse societies that exist today. By the 18th century, 13 British colonies had taken root along the eastern seaboard of North America. These colonies, each with its own unique character and history, were bound by a common language, a growing sense of identity, and a desire for self-government. The seeds of revolution were sown in the fertile ground of Enlightenment ideals, economic grievances, and growing tensions with British rule. The cry of no taxation without representation resonated throughout the colonies. Colonists protested British policies they deemed unfair, such as the Stamp Act and the Tea Act. Events like the Boston Massacre, where British soldiers fired upon unarmed colonists, further inflamed tensions. In 1775, the simmering discontent boiled over into armed conflict. The battles of Lexington and Concord marked the beginning of the American Revolutionary War. On July 4, 1776, the Continental Congress, led by visionaries like Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, issued the Declaration of Independence. This document, a beacon of liberty and self-determination, proclaimed the colony's separation from Great Britain. It declared that all men are created equal and endowed with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The American Revolution was a David versus Goliath struggle. The colonists, outmatched and outgunned, fought with tenacity and determination. Led by General George Washington, the Continental Army endured hardships and setbacks. They ultimately prevailed, securing victory against the British in 1783. The victory in the Revolutionary War brought both triumph and challenges. The newly independent states, now free from British rule, faced the daunting task of forming a new government. The Articles of Confederation, the first attempt at a national government, proved too weak to effectively govern the fledgling nation. In 1787, delegates from the states convened in Philadelphia for the Constitutional Convention. This pivotal gathering aimed to address the weaknesses of the Articles and create a more unified and effective government. Leaders like James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and Benjamin Franklin debated fiercely over the structure and powers of the new government. The result of their deliberations was the United States Constitution, a document that has stood the test of time. The Constitution established a federal system, dividing power between the national and state governments. It created 3 branches of government: legislative, executive, and judicial, with a system of checks and balances to prevent any one branch from becoming too powerful. To address concerns about individual liberties, the Bill of Rights, comprising the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, was added in 1791. These amendments guaranteed fundamental rights such as freedom of speech, religion, the press, the right to bear arms, and protection against unreasonable searches and seizures. The early years of the United States were marked by both progress and growing pains. The new nation grappled with issues such as westward expansion, relations with Native American tribes, and the institution of slavery, which cast a long shadow over the nation's future. As the United States expanded westward in the 19th century, the movement brought both opportunity and tension. The promise of new land and resources attracted many settlers, but it also led to significant conflicts. Native American tribes were forced from their ancestral lands, leading to a series of violent confrontations. Additionally, the expansion intensified the debate over slavery, as new territories were added to the nation. This era of growth and conflict set the stage for the profound changes that would shape the future of America. The Civil War, a conflict that tore the nation apart, was a defining moment in American history. It was a struggle over the very soul of the country, pitting brother against brother. In the end, the Union was preserved, and the institution of slavery was abolished. But the aftermath of the war was a period of great difficulty and reconstruction, as the nation sought to heal its wounds and rebuild. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the United States underwent a dramatic transformation. The Industrial Revolution propelled the nation into a period of unprecedented growth and innovation. Factories sprang up, cities expanded, and new technologies changed the way people lived and worked. By the mid-20th century, America had emerged as a global superpower, playing a pivotal role on the world stage. The fight for civil rights in the United States was a long and arduous journey. The civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s sought to end racial segregation and discrimination, leading to significant legal and social changes. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks became symbols of hope and resilience. The struggle for equality continues to this day, as the nation strives to live up to its ideals of liberty and justice for all. Today, America faces a host of modern challenges, from economic inequality to environmental concerns. Yet the American spirit remains undaunted. Innovation and resilience are hallmarks of the nation's character, driving progress and inspiring hope. As the country navigates these complex issues, the enduring belief in a better future continues to guide its path forward.